Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here from the Child Protection Party. Glad that you could be with me today in this I guess it's going to be a short video because I just don't know how long I am going to talk about this particular subject. But because I'm actually here to advertise something. So I just wish to welcome you to CPP TV. So what I wanted to talk about today is Who Cares Scotland, and actually there are two things I want to talk about. That's the primary one, because Who Cares Scotland have just done or are commencing for this coming week a rally which is called the Love Rally. Now, my wife and I were in Scotland a year or so ago, and we are most impressed with this organisation because they are unbelievably committed to working with those people that are in care and those kids that have exited care. And they have the most fabulous First Minister who works with them or has chosen to work with them around the issues relating to kids. Kids in care and kids that are leaving care as adults. And what is impressive is that she has spoken to thousands of kids because she is committed to finding different ways to work with children that find themselves in foster care or residential care. And I think that what impresses me most is that I have never heard of anybody as committed to working in this area as she is, given that she is also the head of the government. So what I was wondering about is whether or not our current ministers in each state who are responsible for child protection are just as keen and just as interested to deal with the problem by meeting and continually having conversations with people. So Who Care have put out this video, which I've got here. I think I've sent this. I'll just send it out. So what you find below here is the link, the YouTube link to their video, and the video talks to somebody in the UK, talks to somebody in New Zealand, and it talks to an American woman. Each one of these presenters are outstanding. Pardon me. Each one of them has had a care experience, and I like the idea that in the UK they confront this notion around what love is and how is love expressed. And so the conversations you get in this video is about just that. How do these people experience love when they were in care? What did they learn about love? How did they find love when they left care, or throughout that care experience, what they discover? And there's a couple of guys, though. The first two people talk about their having a family and having a child, and what did that mean to them in terms of inventing or better understanding their sense of love. And my experience is that people in care generally don't have a positive experience around being loved or feeling loved. And there's a woman in this video who explains it, an American woman, who explains it, I think, really, really well. And watch the video, you'll realise what I mean. She talks about having a bath and then discovering that the bath might be too hot, but you need to dip your toe in, and then you get inside the bath, and suddenly it seems warmer, and you feel more comfortable with the experience as you enter it. But I guess love for a lot of these people is an answer, is something to which they don't have an answer because they've never had that experience. And I often wonder, what is it like if you've never had that experience? And I think the reality is there are lots of people who, it's not about having a care experience, it's not about having a care experience. A lot of people that have their biological families and live with their biological families and never experience what love really means, what tenderness and caring and thoughtfulness and respect and gentleness and kindness and all that. They never really experience what any of that is about either. So I don't think that's necessarily unique to those people that have had care experiences, but it interests me how they have chosen to tackle it. Like when I first heard about the love rallies and the focus that they have in Who Cares Scotland to focus on love, there are so many misconceptions of what love is, and the notion that somebody loves somebody when they're sexually abusing them is horrific to me. But unfortunately, that is sometimes some of the notions that are presented around a definition of love. And so I think that sometimes it's really important that we recapture and reframe some of the language that we use so that it makes more sense to us. And this is what they're doing with regard to the love rally. So if you can, click on the link that I've put in the description and have a look at this. And it's an hour and 11 minutes, and it's really worth having a look at because it tells us a lot about what it is that we should be doing in our system, but we're choosing not to do. And this particular series of interviews are with young people that have exited care, and they're all working within now the care system as a result of the experiences that they've had. And I think that my experience is we don't have enough young people leaving care that either go out and get the qualifications, or we don't have the organisations that are prepared to employ those people because of their care experiences. And I think that's a shame. In the UK and elsewhere, that's kind of a focus. So I'm calling out to all organisations, including the Riley Foundation, in fact, to look for people that have had care experiences and that can actually do some of that work in terms of representing the issues that the NGOs and those organisations are facing. And we need to be able to be far more enthusiastic about that support for people leaving care, rather than thinking that people that live in care are burdened with that care experience. As some people explain in this video, that they get through that often they just needed someone to believe in them before they were able to exit that and to have the experience that they needed to have in terms of making their lives better. So that's our challenge, is to be able to do that. The only other issue that I wanted to talk about was, and I haven't got this set up to look at it, so but it is about, in the UK, they passed a legislation that prohibited children from being fed. So they had a program which allowed kids to be fed for lunch during the school, and it catered for millions of kids, and kids that were, where the parents were in poverty and they were not able to afford to provide food for these kids at lunchtime, and so. But because of COVID and cutting down on the number of school closures, then obviously there's a stack of kids that are not going to be fed during the day because, simply because the money won't be there. And it was really interesting that most of the Conservative Party, the Tories, voted against it, and so did some of the Labor politicians, for that matter. And it just amazes me that when you have an issue that is just about looking after kids, so this applies everywhere, right? So this is I know this is only happening in the UK at the moment, but when you have an issue that is about looking after children, such as feeding them, most people would think that would be an easy problem to solve, that we just sit back and think, well, okay, we need to provide funding. We have been providing funding. We need to continue to provide that funding for kids who need lunches. But to turn that down and say, no, we're no longer going to do that because as one MP said, I think, parents should learn to, have the money to look after the kids. They don't understand the issues around poverty to start with, and most of society is the reasons why most people are in poverty is primarily because the governments have failed to be able to provide services for these families in order to lift them out of poverty in the first place. So governments are responsible for the fact that a lot of people are in poverty, even though we can busily blame parents for gambling, drug use, mental health, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, it's the lack of services that create the problem. So the fact that we're insisting that kids can go hungry makes me start to think about why, and this is an issue that the party's been dealing with for years, is, are people committed to working with kids or working for kids so that kids have better outcomes? And, when it comes down to the basic level of food, we discover that they're not. That in the UK, and my guess is that the same thing probably could happen here in Australia if confronted, but in the UK anyway, they have decided no, it's not gonna. It doesn't matter. We actually don't give a rat's ass about these kids, and it concerns me greatly that we don't, because kids should be at the forefront of all decisions that are made. But in actual fact, when it comes to the basic decisions like feeding them, no, they're not. We don't care for whatever reason, and I find that atrocious. So, look, thanks for being with me today. And we're trying to get back to doing our live feeds on on Facebook, which we'll be doing commencing again this coming week, hopefully. So join with us there to have further conversations about issues that matter to you. And also remember to subscribe to this page and also to ring the bell so you do get notifications. Great being with you, everybody. Take care and look forward to catching up with you during the week.